Interesting one.
The Prime Minister has told the leaders in the meeting, NDA meeting, the old National Alliance, we have to work for the cause of the nation. So the inside scoop of what the PM told the NDA leaders is, yes, you will look at your individual aspects, but we have to work for the country. Now, this is a larger question and the larger point of view and a perspective, and Rahul, Nalin and Zaka weigh in on this. We are on the cusp of a growth story. Amidst global recession, we are still growing. There are reforms and there is a path on which the country is on. Can that be afforded to be derailed? And when these leaders actually think about
there's
that.
a social agenda, there's an economic agenda, and there's a larger philosophical agenda.
Yeah.
The social agenda might be the problem. The economic agenda, I don't think anyone will have a problem unless it is deep structural reforms that will create displacement. Now, that is something that might run into some kind of obstruction, opposition, where a consensus-oriented solution will have to be found. If supposing, I'm just saying, you decide that, okay, maybe we want to withdraw certain subsidies, or we want to reform a particular sector of the economy, which might have direct implications on jobs, which might lead to perhaps for a little while tumult on the ground, which might affect someone's vote bank. I don't think there's elbow room for that anymore. You can't just pass a bill.
Is it also, you know what, I find the first line quite interesting, and Naren, please weigh in on this, where he's basically saying that NDA is an old national alliance. Is that a sort of signaling to Chandrababu and Nitish in particular, who are now, you know, the ones that he's dependent on, that look, we go back a long way. We started this journey in the 1990s. Naidu was the convener. Of course, Nitish was a key part. He was a railway minister in the Vajpayee government. Is it telling them that, look, don't think of jumping, and of course, a lot has happened between us in the last 10 years, but don't think of jumping ship because, we go back a long way.
I think what is fascinating in this language, because see, ultimately people will make choices based on their hardcore political calculations.
Yeah.
But the fact that this language is being used is, I think the Prime Minister is trying to make them comfortable. I mean, what's been amazing about today is that we are seeing on our screens in this a return to politics of 10 years ago. What we all grew up as television journalists, following the politicians from one car to the other, all of that. Now that had disappeared. Now that has returned. And that's returned because the power balance has changed. So this, the harking back to the old historical past, the NDA being the first pre-poll alliance of its kind at the national level, which Vajpayee and Advani created. This is very much part of, because the situation demands that. And I think the PM is reaching out and trying to create that old bond on.
Right, let's just get that update from Payal. She's got to go back into that meeting. Yes, Payal.
Well, of course, the Prime Minister, in fact, very warmly welcomed the NDA leaders who had come, from the entire part of the country. And in fact, the leaders also were very happy and they congratulated the Prime Minister for leading the NDA to their third victory in a row as well. But you know what, interestingly, Anand, the Prime Minister told these NDA allies that in order to make them feel comfortable and to break the ice with the likes of Nitish Kumar and Chandrababu Naidu, who come back to the NDA fold after some time, essentially telling them that yes, we are together in this. We've been fortunate because people have elected us to power for 3 terms. We need to work for the cause of the people. People come and go, leaders come and go, but the cause of the country should be the most supreme one. So that's the message that the Prime Minister tried to send out to them. Very similar to the message he was trying to send out to his cabinet colleagues earlier this morning as well. So we are given to understand that today all the leaders and most of the leaders, whoever want to return back will return back. Day after tomorrow is the meeting to choose Modi as the NDA leader, after which all these allies will go with Prime Minister Modi and the other BJP leaders to the Rashtrapati Bhavan to stake claim to form the government, because by then the other technicality and other processes would have been over.
So what happens next now, Payal? Can you also take us through what happens next? There are a lot of speculations about the Prime Minister meeting the Rashtrapati today and all, but that cannot happen, can it? Because the CEC himself has not given out the final numbers. Has that been presented to the President already?
The entire technicality for our viewers, you did share the entire details for our viewers, essentially to tell you what technicalities have to follow from here on. The Rashtrapati Bhavan has sent a communique that they've taken into consideration the advice given by the Prime Minister to dissolve the 17th Lok Sabha. But of course, there are due processes which have to be followed as far as this entire process is concerned. But the most important meeting will be the one day after tomorrow, which is on the 7th of June, where the NDA leaders will come together. Chief ministers, deputy chief ministers from various states will come together, and all of them unanimously will choose Narendra Modi as the leader of the NDA. That's the procedure which has to follow, after which they are going to go ahead and go to the Rashtrapati Bhavan Today's going to Rashtrapati Bhavan is also very significant because the Prime Minister goes there with his outgoing Council of Ministers to in fact thank the President for all her support all along, because the President, mind you, is the first citizen of the country. She's the Supreme Commander of all the forces. So obviously they are going to go ahead and express their thanks to the President for her tenure, and also for many ministers who might not return back to the government fold. This is going to be a huge send-off for them as well.
So what happens next? So the CEC meets the Rashtrapati tomorrow. When does the Prime Minister, when is the NDA meeting? When is the leader of the House, leader of the parliamentary party? All of those formalities, when will they be completed?
Anand, that's a little confusing. You know, remember over here you have to elect the leader of the NDA. Once the parliament comes into business, before that is when all the MPs will take oath, all the leaders will take oath, all the ministers will take oath, and simultaneously, since Piyush Goyal has moved from the Rajya Sabha to the Lok Sabha, the BJP will be looking for another leader of the House to come in. Of course, the Prime Minister continues to be the leader of the of the Lok Sabha in the parliament, because he's the Prime Minister. Last time around, you saw, Rajnath Singh was the deputy leader of the Lok Sabha. So, and various political parties will announce their own candidates. They'll send their list to the Speaker to tell them who wants to become the leader of the party. So that's a procedure that follows only when the Parliament is in session. But as far as the Cabinet is concerned, this is the procedure that you just spoke about, which is going to be important. The Prime Minister, flanked by the NDA partners, will go to the Rashtrapati Bhavan, telling the Rashtrapati that we have the numbers in place and we want to stake claim to form government. And that's why, the date for Modi's swearing in is also very, very importantly on the 8th evening is what we are given to understand. And of course, then the Prime Minister is likely to go on the 9th to Andhra Pradesh, where Chandrababu Naidu is likely to take oath on the 9th. And during this meeting, also we are given to understand Chandrababu Naidu has extended an invitation to Narendra Modi, to Rajnath Singh, to JP Nadda and to Amit Shah to come and participate in his oath-taking ceremony.
Right. So that has also happened in this meeting. The CEC has to present the final numbers. That has not yet happened. That's scheduled to happen on the 6th in the morning at Rashtrapati Bhavan. So thereafter, other things will
on the
come
right
on
side,
today.
you have the India Alliance meeting stuff, and Akhilesh Yadav, clearly he's the Cheshire cat of the India Alliance. He's the guy who's got 37 MPs. I mean, I don't think he himself expected 37 MPs. Clearly, he's, as they say in this part of the world, chauda ho gaya.
Now, what could be? Nistula Hebar is